How you doing? Thanks for clicking on to the Tuesday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. In today's video I want to take a quick and dirty look at the GFS 2 metre temperature projections as we go forward. Now I'm sure you're well aware now that we are going to have a colder end to the month of February, and the month of March is looking chilly as well. Hope you had a chance to look at yesterday's post, because it was quite interesting. See, when you look back at December and January, how despite the fact that December was a warmer than normal month and January was a warmer than normal month, when you weigh up all of the UK and all of Europe. But when you dig into the finer details, I'm sure many people across the northern half of the British Isles is saying, do you know, Mark, it hasn't been that warm of a winter. It has been a fairly chilly winter. We've had frequent hard frosts. We've had snowfall frequently as well. And yes, I agree with you. It has been somewhat more of a harder winter this year than the last couple of years. But it's, of course, when you weigh the whole area up, December and January have turned out warmer than normal. But of course, if you look at Scotland, January has in fact been a cooler than normal month. And really, even the month of December, when you look back, the month of December only featured about a 10-day stretch out of the 31 days that make up the month of December. We had only a 10-day stretch really where it was mild, but that mild was strong enough that the month averaged near normal or slightly above normal temperature wise, despite the fact that the first half of the month was rather cold. Plenty of snow. We had some of the coldest nights of the entire winter, and certainly when you look at the month of December, January and now February, which by the way is much colder, we've really turned the temperature profile for Europe on its head between December and January and now the month of February. What has really changed though to make the West and much of Europe in fact colder than normal across much of the continent? Well, the interesting thing is the North Atlantic Oscillation has still been positive, which of course has meant we've had the dominance of Atlantic westerly winds. But the Arctic Oscillation has been trending positive, or should I say, sorry, negative throughout much of the winter. And as the winter season has progressed, that negative Arctic Oscillation sometimes has a bigger influence. And I think as we combine the positive NAO with the negative AO, we've had more and more colder influence as the season has matured. Of course, we know what's coming next. We've got now a reversal in the upper winds from the west to the east. We've seen the Southern Stratospheric Warming Event. It has been a very significant Southern Stratospheric Warming Event. And what we're going to essentially see is the cold gang up over the eastern side of Europe. It's been forced south, down through the atmosphere, now reaching the mid-latitude region, and it is now going to start to push westwards as we go through the remainder of this week. Now, high pressure at the moment is going to generally be the rule across the British Isles. Now, we've seen a fairly mild start of the week, of course. It was 14 degrees in Cardiff. Temperatures was reading 13 degrees on my dashboard as I drove to Edinburgh yesterday. And it was really the first day that I've not had to wear a jacket when I've been out working. But that mild air will start to kind of ease off as we go through the work week. High pressure will be dominant. Clear skies by night will mean we'll see the return of frost. Reasonably pleasant days, may I add, because it's not a particularly cold air mass. But of course, when you've got clear skies, light winds at night, you tend to see the radiational cooling taking place, and we see the cold air grab and hold. Then, of course, when the sun comes up, we're now at the end of February, the sun angle's a little bit stronger. You can actually feel a bit of warmth off that sun now, if you notice. But also, we've got longer hours of daylight as well. But that is all going to get kicked out of the way as we go through the weekend, coming up and through next week here, we have got a major shot of cold air coming in from the east. What's interesting here is I skip through this here. You see the cold at night, pushing across the British Isles, getting chillier, as you can see here over Europe. Then we've got a little bit of surge of warmth. That was, of course, the milder that was seen during the course of Sunday and, of course, Monday. Lifting northwards here. Still see the blues over Scotland, especially where the snowpack is lying. You of course cool off that atmosphere much more easily. Then now, as we go through the course of the rest of this week, you can see the kind of pulsing effect of the temperature, because we've got the high pressure, we've got the stable conditions, mild by day, cold by night. You've got that waxing and waning, but the persistency of the blue is very evident, and it starts to show the whites, indicating deeper and more penetrating frosts with temperatures into the teens below freezing. As we continue to skip through the sequence, you start to see the demarcation zone between milder air, cooler air over the Atlantic. Watch how that starts to press back westwards here as we start to see the easterlies really take hold. What we're going to see is high pressure building, UK, extending right across the northern half of Europe. What we're essentially going to do is we're going to pick up this air over Russia, drag it underneath that area of high pressure, and we're going to see that reaching the British Isles by early next week. So we'll skip through. You can see here the milder colours pushing westwards here, and you'll start to see the westward progression of very, very cold air, with temperatures not really getting much above freezing, if you notice, by the time we reach early and middle next week. You notice here we don't get that pulsing of mild by day, cold by night. It starts to hold on to the blues, indicating we're in Siberian air by this stage. Temperatures are going to have a hard time getting much above freezing. By night time, they're going to plummet, and of course that is not indicating the snowfall aspect. In the next few days I will look at the snow aspect, but I'm really just trying to nail down the details at the moment. The models are becoming more and more clear that this weekend through next week turns very cold indeed. Let's see in terms of what kind of snowfall we're going to see, so on and so forth. A lot of winter on the cards. By the time this is all said and done, folks, whether you like winter or not, we'll be ready for spring warmth, that's for sure. When that'll come, well, that remains to be seen. Do we see that by the end of March, by the start of April, or do we have to hold on to maybe May or June before summer really does take hold? Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching YouTube and on markfoganweather.com. Stay tuned to markfoganweather.com for all the latest information as we enter an exciting endgame to winter. Bye for now.